power to challenge structural power. Use all of it to create economic power for the people. And this is how you climb the ladder. Imagine creators coordinating with organizers. Imagine mutual aid tied to voter education. Imagine cooperative businesses funding local movements. Imagine viral educators feeding real-world chapters. Imagine millions inspired online and then mobilized offline. That is no longer content. That is infrastructure. The old world survives because it keeps each pillar separate. Work disconnected from media, media disconnected from policy, policy disconnected from economics, people disconnected from each other. Our job is to connect them. So no, revolution is not fantasy. It is disciplined escalation through the pillars of power. And if social media has given us narrative tools, then the question is no longer can it happen. The question now is, will we organize enough and effectively to make it happen? And it must be outside of the current structures. Bear with me for a second. They told you that revolution was chaos, right? They told you revolution was fire in the streets. Am I wrong? They told you revolution was something reckless, something angry, something impossible. Correct? But real revolution? Real revolution is a recipe, a strategy, a science of power, because power is not random. Power has pillars, and if we can understand those pillars, we can climb them. The first pillar is collective power. That's people, numbers, unity, coordination. Not just a crowd standing around, but organized people moving with purpose. That's workers, tenants, students, creators, parents, neighbors, okay? That's the people closest to the struggle, realizing they're not alone. Now, right above collective power sits narrative power, because numbers matter, but stories move numbers. Who controls the story controls the mood. Who controls the mood controls the
because it isn't a hint of joy or care or aliveness. They are building a threat. The imagined audience is not exactly one man. It is always another man, a rival, a competitor, someone to ward off or repel. The body becomes an aesthetic form of fear. The money works the same way. It's about being visibly enough above other men so you feel temporarily safe, temporarily ranked high enough for that fear to quiet. And of course, it never does. Because any system that promises salvation through self-sufficiency and dominance works against human nature. We are made from and for connection. This is not some spiritual position, this is a biological fact. And what is deeply sad about this religion is that it did, in fact, correctly identify a hunger and need. It found men who are lonely, who have no language for their pain, who have been handed adulthood with no tools for intimacy. And this religion explained their pain to them. It gave them a framework, a roof, and then handed these men competition as communion. Promised men a throne when what they needed is a table. And that is the tragedy, because at a throne, you are always alone. The manosphere is a religion. It has sacred texts, red pill forms, task forces. It has a conversion. You take the red pill, wine and wafer, 2-in-1, so you die to your ignorant self and reborn into clarity. It has a doctrine, and they...